Welcome to Andrés Insight, where clarity meets curiosity. Today, we're really plunging into the world of entrepreneurship. And forget the glossy magazine covers for a minute. We're after the real deal, the hidden shifts in thinking, the gritty realities that can genuinely make or break a venture.
Yeah, absolutely. We've looked at a whole spectrum of experiences, actually.
Mm-hmm.
From those initial sparks, the ideas that might seem like a bit of a gamble,
Mm-hmm.
right through to the absolute necessity of, well, having a solid plan down on paper. And even that inner psychological landscape, the stuff every entrepreneur has to navigate.
Exactly. Our goal today is basically to distill those crucial nuggets of wisdom, the stuff that can help you, whether you're just, toying with an idea or maybe you're actively running your own show already.
Or just curious.
Or just fascinated by what makes businesses tick.
Yeah.
We'll be uncovering some maybe less obvious approaches and exploring that vital dance between, loving what you do and actually making it work financially.
And we'll also dig into why a concrete plan isn't just paperwork. It's a fundamental tool. And perhaps most importantly, understanding how your mindset can either be your biggest asset.
Or your biggest hurdle.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Especially when you hit those inevitable challenges.
So yeah, buckle up for some real insights. We're going to unpack the core elements that can really sharpen your understanding and hopefully guide your decisions in this whole entrepreneurial arena. Okay, let's dive right in. That initial idea, the spark that gets everything going.
Well, it's kind of remarkable, isn't it? How many successful journeys began with an idea that was initially met with a pretty healthy dose of doubt?
Yeah.
We saw an example, someone who went on to create a massive tech company. They were gently advised by their boss, someone they admired, that their online book-selling idea was interesting, but maybe better suited for someone who didn't already have a good career.
Wow. So that classic trade-off.
It really highlights it, yeah. That entrepreneurial tightrope walk between the comfort of security and the potentially huge impact of following a passionate vision.
Absolutely. That tension, the known versus the unknown.
Yeah.
And passion. It
Yeah.
just seems to be this powerful undercurrent driving so many ventures forward. There's that story, right, about an investor who famously didn't see the potential in a humble bookstore operating out of a garage.
Yeah, couldn't see it ever becoming a huge success.
Right.
And what's so telling in stories like that is the sheer force of that initial belief, that personal passion that just fuels someone to keep pushing, even when, others are expressing skepticism.
Mm-hmm.
It really shines a light on the deep internal conviction you need just to get started, let alone keep going.
But it's not always the seemingly brilliant, never-before-seen idea that takes off, is it?
No, not at all.
Some of our sources highlighted business concepts that might sound a little unconventional at first glance.
Like what?
Like a dating platform specifically for individuals who are already in relationships.
Right.
Or even stuffed animals filled with those little plastic beads.
Right. Things that make you go, huh?
Exactly. But they actually found significant success. What do you make of that?
Well, it really makes you reconsider what we typically think of as a good idea, doesn't it? Sometimes what seems a little out there, a bit weird maybe,
Yeah.
it can actually tap into a hidden desire or a really specific underserved niche in the market. I think the crucial thing isn't just chasing the latest trend, the hot thing.
Right.
It's about connecting with something deeper.
Exactly. Tapping into that wellspring of genuine interest for you personally, something that's going to give you the motivation to, weather the inevitable storms.
Mm-hmm.
But passion, as crucial as it is, can only take you so far, can it? We also saw that a lot of entrepreneurs falter because their grand vision, it just never makes it out of their head and onto paper.
Oh, that's such a key point, a huge pitfall. An idea, no matter how groundbreaking it feels, needs a tangible structure to actually support it.
It's like scaffolding.
Exactly like scaffolding. The act of writing it down, it forces a certain level of clarity. It compels you to face the practicalities, the nitty-gritty, and importantly, it helps you anticipate the bumps in the road ahead.
So even if you're not looking for outside funding, taking the time to actually develop a business plan just for yourself, that feels like incredibly sound advice.
Really.
It's not just a formality then, it's a tool for your own understanding, right?
Yes.
And for building resilience into your whole approach.
Precisely. By thinking through those fundamental elements, who's your target customer? How are you actually going to reach them and sell to them? What are your financial projections looking like? Your day-to-day operations.
Mm-hmm.
You're essentially creating a roadmap,
Mm-hmm.
and that significantly improves your chances of navigating the whole journey successfully.
Okay, so here's where we uncover some truly interesting territory. Let's explore the mindsets and the approaches that really seem to distinguish successful entrepreneurs. Definitely. We're talking about those ways of thinking that might even fly in the face of some of the more traditional business school teachings, aren't we?
Yeah, some counterintuitive stuff, perhaps. What's fascinating here is this problem first, then product way of thinking.
Okay.
So many really successful ventures didn't actually begin with a fully formed product idea. Instead, they started by identifying a specific problem that people were facing. Sometimes within a really focused niche think, running shoes specifically engineered for ultramarathon runners.
Right. Very specific.
Very specific. Then and only then did they develop a solution tailored to that exact need.
That's such a powerful shift in perspective, isn't it? Instead of just creating something cool and hoping there's a market for it,
Fingers crossed.
you're actively seeking out a need and filling that void. And then there's this interesting concept you mentioned, being open to saying, yes, we can, even if a client or an opportunity seems a little outside your initial, maybe, area of expertise.
Okay. That adaptability, yeah. That willingness to stretch beyond your perceived limitations and embrace new client requests, even if they take you slightly outside your core competencies, that can be a real engine for long-term growth and resilience. We heard about like a printing business that consistently reinvented its service offerings based purely on the evolving needs of its clients.
It sounds like it's all about embracing that tolerance for, well, uncertainty and ambiguity,
Totally.
the capacity to make informed decisions even when you don't have all the answers, maybe, and seeing challenges not as dead ends, but as potential pivots or new avenues.
Exactly. That mindset of, okay, I'll figure it out, is incredibly potent. And it ties directly into the importance of building a strong team.
Ah, right. Not going it alone.
Recognizing you can't be an expert in everything, and proactively hiring people who complement your weaknesses rather than try to be a one-person show doing it all.
Yeah, sharing the load, bringing in diverse skill sets seems absolutely vital for scaling up and just navigating the complexity of it all. And then we get into those really core entrepreneurial traits. Being adaptable, having that unwavering tenacity.
Well, what's really important to grasp there, I think, is that having a larger vision, a clear North Star, allows you to view those inevitable setbacks as like temporary obstacles rather than insurmountable roadblocks.
Learning opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The ability to learn from those challenges, to take personal ownership of the outcomes, good or bad, and to relentlessly pursue your objectives, those are really the hallmarks of this mindset.
I really liked that phrase we came across. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a great reminder, isn't it? That consistent, thoughtful progress, even if it feels incremental, often leads to quicker overall achievement than just rushing and making mistakes.
And this emphasis we saw on deriving pride from the effort you put in and the choices you actively make, rather than solely relying on, innate talents you were born with, that really resonates deeply. Choosing that path of service, maybe, or that ambitious adventure over a more comfortable, easy route, that's often where a more profound and lasting sense of satisfaction comes from later on.
And there's that almost fierce internal drive, that sense of urgency operating as if someone is constantly trying to outmaneuver you to take it all away.
That relentless dedication.
Yeah, to outworking the competition. It sounds intense, but it can significantly improve your odds of success. Okay, so we've explored the initial spark, the crucial mindset. Now let's talk about navigating those inevitable bumps in the road, the challenges every entrepreneur faces, and importantly, how to sidestep some of the more common pitfalls.
Right. This is where the often glamorous portrayal of entrepreneurship meets the nitty-gritty reality. The fear of failure, for instance. It's a completely natural human emotion, of course. But it can also be a significant roadblock. Our sources suggested that individuals who perceive a lower personal risk of failure are actually more likely to take that initial leap of faith.
Interesting. It's almost as if you need to mentally reframe failure, maybe. Not see it as this definitive end, but as a potential outcome you're willing to learn from.
Exactly. A data point, almost. And there are some really prevalent mistakes that new entrepreneurs tend to make, aren't there?
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, as we touched on earlier, not having a well-documented plan is a major one, just keeping it all in your head. Another is underestimating the critical importance of exceptional customer service, really focusing on that
Easy to overlook sometimes.
in the early chaos, yeah. And a third common trap is taking on excessive overhead costs, like big fancy offices or too many staff, too early in the business's life. Keeping things lean, especially initially, can be a real game changer.
That makes perfect sense. Keeping your expenses down, really focusing on keeping your customers happy. They seem like obvious principles, but clearly easy to lose sight of in the, excitement of starting something new.
Absolutely.
And then there's this really crucial concept you mentioned, achieving product market fit.
Ah, yes, this is a fundamental hurdle.
Hmm.
Essentially, product market fit refers to the degree to which your product or service actually meets a strong demand in the market.
So people actually want it.
People actually want it and ideally are willing to pay for it. Building something that nobody actually wants is, unfortunately, a primary reason why so many startups just don't make it. It really underscores the need to deeply understand your target audience and their genuine needs first.
And it's not just about the product itself, is it? The dynamics within the founding team, that plays a massive role too.
Oh, huge.
Huh.
Disagreements, a lack of mutual support among co-founders, that can really derail even the most promising ventures.
Mm.
The analogy we heard of a co-founder relationship being kind of like a marriage. In terms of the level of commitment and communication required, it really rings true. Maintaining open lines of communication, having an understanding of each other's lives outside of the business, that could be just as critical as your overall business strategy.
That human element, so often underestimated. We also touched on the necessity of having at least a foundational understanding of finance. You don't need to be like a Wall Street expert, but
No, but having a solid grasp of basic accounting principles is essential just for truly understanding your business's profitability and being able to communicate effectively with accountants or financial advisors.
right.
You can't completely outsource that understanding. For instance, knowing the difference between revenue and profit, understanding your key expenses, your cash flow, that's crucial.
And this was an interesting point you raised earlier, the potential downside of striving for absolute perfection right out of the gate.
Yeah, the perfectionism trap.
Waiting for your product to be flawlessly polished before launching can actually hinder your ability to become profitable.
The key insight here seems to be identifying your early adopters. Those customers who are willing to pay for a solution that addresses their problem, even if it's not entirely perfect yet.
Get it out there and learn.
Exactly. Get a version out there, get feedback, iterate based on real-world use is often a much more effective approach than waiting for some unattainable ideal state.
And let's not overlook the very real issue of burnout and the impact on mental health. I mean, entrepreneurship can be incredibly demanding, right? Both physically and psychologically.
Absolutely. Recognizing the early warning signs of excessive stress, anxiety, and actively prioritizing some form of work-life balance.
Yeah.
It's absolutely vital to avoid burnout.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. Building a sustainable business is a marathon, not a sprint fueled by endless all-nighters and caffeine.
We also learned about the importance of understanding your unit economics. It sounds a bit technical, but it's basically the profitability of each individual unit you sell.
Yeah, boiled down, that's it. These metrics are absolutely critical for sustainable growth. You need to know if each customer you acquire and each sale you make is actually contributing positively to your bottom line in a meaningful way. Understanding your costs to acquire a customer versus the revenue they generate over their lifetime, that kind of thing is key.
And in today's competitive environment, really understanding your competitors, but from the perspective of their customers, not just your own internal view, that seems vital for carving out your own space.
Exactly right. It's about putting yourself in your competitors' customers' shoes, understanding what attracts them, what keeps them there, and what might make them consider alternatives, including you. This helps you identify your unique advantages and your differentiator.
Okay, finally, something that might not be top of mind when you're in that initial rush of starting up, but definitely sounds worth considering. Understanding the legal and administrative processes involved if you ever need to, well, close your business properly.
Yes, that's an aspect that's often overlooked in the excitement of launching. Not the cheeriest thought, perhaps,
No.
but closing a business incorrectly can lead to significant financial and legal complications down the line. So planning for potential closure costs, while maybe not optimistic, is actually a responsible and prudent step. Now, let's shift gears slightly to a more energizing topic, perhaps. Building those crucial connections and effectively leveraging the resources available to you.
Ah, networking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can sometimes feel like a bit of an overused buzzword, can't it? But it consistently comes up as a real driver of success for entrepreneurs.
Well, what's really insightful here, I think, is the sheer variety of benefits that a strong network can provide. It's not just about getting sales leads, though that can happen.
Hmm.
It's about accessing unexpected opportunities, discovering resources you might not have known existed, gaining diverse perspectives that challenge your own thinking.
Keeping you sharp.
Yeah, staying informed about industry trends, and even finding potential collaborators who can bring complementary skills to the table.
But it's definitely not just about, collecting a massive stack of business cards at events, is it? There seems to be a real art to cultivating a truly valuable network.
Absolutely. Authenticity is key. And a genuine interest in others. Focusing on how you can offer value, whether it's making a helpful introduction, sharing a relevant piece of information, or just offering support that goes a long way in building strong reciprocal relationships.
So give before you get.
Kind of, yeah. And of course, celebrating each other's successes and offering constructive support during challenges really deepens those connections over time.
We even came across examples, didn't we, of how strategic networking has directly led to crucial early-stage funding or the formation of key partnerships that really propelled growth.
Accessing expertise.
Accessing invaluable expertise that founders just couldn't have afforded otherwise. It's about creating those mutually beneficial ecosystems, it sounds like.
Exactly. And in today's digital landscape, leveraging digital marketing tools is more accessible than ever, often requiring minimal initial financial outlay, which is great for startups.
Right. Starting small, closely tracking your results so you know what's working, and engaging in genuine two-way conversations with your customers online. That seems like a really smart and efficient approach.
Definitely. And that 24/7 availability that a digital presence offers, that can be a significant competitive advantage in many industries.
But before just diving headfirst into the digital world, you're saying it's really important to take a step back first.
Yeah, just pause and answer some fundamental questions like how much time and budget can you realistically allocate? Are you open to collaborations online? What's your core brand story you want to tell? Who is your ideal customer, really? And what are the logistical aspects of, say, fulfilling online orders or service requests?
Laying that groundwork seems essential then for having a focused and ultimately effective digital presence rather than just being noisy online.
And utilizing social media features. Even simple things like automated responses on certain platforms can be a surprisingly powerful way to enhance customer interaction and manage expectations efficiently.
Little things that make a difference.
It's all about being proactive and strategically using the available tools to build and nurture your online community. Okay, let's move on to a topic that, well, every entrepreneur will inevitably encounter at some point in their journey. Setbacks.
Failure.
Yeah.
It's the word nobody really wants to dwell on, but it's so often just an intrinsic part of the whole entrepreneurial process, isn't it? The key, it seems, is in how you choose to view it.
Precisely. Recognizing that failure isn't necessarily an endpoint, but rather a common and often incredibly valuable learning opportunity. That's crucial for long-term growth and resilience.
It's that ability to bounce back, right, from those inevitable stumbles to adapt to shifting circumstances that really seems to distinguish those who ultimately succeed in the long run.
And understanding when to pivot. When your initial idea simply isn't gaining traction in the market, recognizing that isn't defeat, it's actually a sign of strength and adaptability.
So reevaluating.
Yeah, reassessing your business model, your product or service offering, maybe even your target audience. That process can sometimes lead you to discover your true calling, or at least a much more viable path forward.
So as we kind of bring this deep dive to a close, what are the key takeaways for you, our listener? It's pretty clear that navigating the world of entrepreneurship is a complex, multifaceted journey. It demands far more than just a groundbreaking idea.
It truly is. It's this dynamic interplay of passion and practical considerations. It requires a resilient and adaptable mindset that actually embraces challenges, not just endures them. A continuous commitment to learning and growth, thoughtful and strategic planning, and that ability we talked about to forge and nurture meaningful connections with others.
Yeah, we've seen how those seemingly less conventional, maybe even bad ideas can sometimes flourish unexpectedly, how strategic pivots can lead to remarkable and unforeseen success, and how that consistent, unwavering focus on providing genuine value and truly understanding customer needs that can create a lasting and meaningful impact.
So maybe take some time to really consider your own personal tolerance for risk. Think about the absolute importance of translating your vision into a tangible, written plan. And don't underestimate the immeasurable value of actively cultivating a strong and supportive network, fellow entrepreneurs, mentors, advisors around you.
And please remember, every challenge you encounter, every setback you experience, really holds within it a valuable lesson just waiting to be learned. That fundamental ability to adapt, to persevere through adversity, and to extract those crucial insights from both your successes and your failures, that is so often the defining characteristic of those who ultimately thrive in the entrepreneurial landscape.
So, what key insights from our discussion today are still resonating with you? What questions or thoughts are maybe continuing to bubble up? We really encourage you to reflect on these ideas, the context of your own aspirations, and to continue exploring these themes further.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of entrepreneurship. We sincerely hope that this exploration has provided you with some valuable clarity and has, maybe in some small way, ignited or perhaps even reignited that spark of curiosity within you.